Hi everybody. I may catch a few of you live, but if not, this can be a recording that you catch up with. So as promised, I said I would come on and talk about the word ability, or using the word ability in the phrases high ability and low ability, because I get a lot of questions about, particularly in maths, how do I stretch my high ability? How do I cater for my low ability children? And so, this is something that I am very familiar with. I have been teaching a really long time, be it adults and children, over 30 years. And I remember the top of my planning sheets, I've taught from early years right up to year 6. And I had HAMAUA written at the top of every planning sheet in every school that I've worked in. And honestly, I didn't even question that. It was just the way it was. So that is what I'm going to talk to you about briefly this evening, and it is something that I'm definitely going to come back to because it's so important. So first of all, I want us to think about the fact that ability, really what we mean by ability is someone's potential, what they're capable of doing. The word ability can be used in lots of different ways, but when we talk about it in education, we're very much thinking about what someone is able to learn. So I want to really challenge this now and give you some thoughts that I have had over many years and that changed my attitude and my teaching dramatically. So the first thing is, and I talked to my Impact members about this week. So Impact is my membership for early years maths. You can find out more on the website if you're interested to know more. But we met to have a session about looking ahead at the term and what we were going to learn together. And I said, when I look at all of you in my group, I honestly never ever think, and this is completely 100% honest, I never look at the adults in my group and think of some people as being clever and some people as being less clever, some people as being high ability, some people as being low ability. And I used to teach adults like you in person before COVID. I now kind of still do that, but it's Zoom, so it's similar but different. And I can honestly say the same thing, that when I was in a room, whether it was in a school or a setting, or whether it was on a course and there were mixed people in the room from all different places, it never ever occurred to me, with what you said and what you did, to think of labeling you as high or low ability or anything in between. What I did instead was I would be thinking, there's people there that are really listening. There's people there that are really challenging their growth, they're challenging their mindset, which is a growth mindset. There's children, there's adults in the room who are writing things down and thinking, I want to find out more about that. Or I can see their faces deep in thought and then they ask a question. So what I used to notice was who's listening and who isn't listening. Who's engaged, who's not engaged, who wants to take this further, who wants to use this, who's desperately trying to use the time that they're giving me and I'm giving them to maximize this learning. So I used to just see that unless you've got a very specific special need, and I speak as someone who is the auntie of a child with very, very severe special needs, and it's taught me so much, but the majority of us, children and adults, we have fully functioning, very healthy brains, and we are highly mathematical naturally. So I want us to think about that first, that I honestly would never think, either now or in the past, of attaching any of those labels to you. I would honestly see you when you come into my world as, where are you on your journey with me? What do you know already? What do you not know that you don't know? Of course, that's different than just not knowing something you didn't even know you didn't know it. How much are you questioning things? How willing are you to change? How willing are you to go along with something that doesn't feel quite right yet, but trust me? And I know this is all going to make sense to you. So I want to look at this from our children's point of view in two different ways now. I want to think first of all, an adult can choose to join in. An adult can choose to have a growth mindset. An adult can choose to say, I don't really like the feeling of this, but I'm going to get over it and stick with this. I am really not sure that our 3, 4 and 5-year-olds are at the stage in their lives where they can consciously do that very easily. So we have to therefore create those situations where they feel like that, because of course as they get older they're going to gradually be able to self-regulate more. But most of our young children, they feel able to join in, like the adults I'm describing, able to be interested, able to ask questions because of the way we act around them and how we make them feel. So that is one thing that I want to address. The second thing is, if I can't, in fact, there's going to be three things here. I'll do my subvertising, three things. If I genuinely don't want to and never found it helpful to label any adult I've ever worked with as low or high ability, why on earth would I want to do it to children who've been alive for 3, 4, or 5 years? Because that just doesn't make sense in my head at all. So first of all, I want us to put the brakes on and just go, hang on, this does not make sense. So hopefully you're with me so far on that. The third thing I want you to think about, and I hope this absolutely stabs us all in the heart, because every time I say what I'm going to say, it makes me want to cry. So, prepare yourself here. Can you imagine 2 children standing at your class door, wherever you work in the world, or at your doorway if you're a childminder, and one of those children has had a decent night's sleep and a meal before they came to you, and they've been around adults who are relatively, normal and speak to them in a normal way. I mean, we all know nobody is a perfect parent. You're going to have a go at them sometimes and be lovely other times. But I'm talking about a nurturing, normal family life that we know would do you good overall. Now, the other child standing next to them hasn't had any of that, or is missing some of those things in their life. The things that are incredibly basic needs to all of us: being clean, sleeping well, eating, being talked to, being listened to, being loved. Now, in our culture, and in most cultures in the world, we will, and particularly I can speak for my culture 100% here, we will label the child who has been spoken to nicely, had the meal, had the sleep, been read to, been taken on trips everywhere, as able. And we'll label the other child as not labelled. It's not able, not labelled, not able. And we need to stop and we need to think, hang on a minute, I don't think anybody watching this is going to be thinking, I would deliberately take a child who has already had a really rotten start to life and label them in a way that says, do you know what, they can't learn as well as other children. Because that is what we're growing up in as teachers. That is what the structure and system that we live in tells us to do. And it says the child who is speaking articulately and is energetic and joins in, they're more able. And you think, I would love to get to a point in this group where I say, do you know what, I think we might need to talk about ability as in what your potential is. But we are so far from that at the moment, because actually what we need to talk about is attainment. I want you to change that A from ability to attainment. And attainment is, what stage in your journey have you reached so far based on what has happened to you. As an adult, it will be not just what's happened to you, but how you responded to that. Did you put your big girl, big boy pants on when things got tough and said, do you know what this person's saying is challenging me, but I'm an adult, so I'm going to go with this and see where it takes me. As a child, you can't do that. So again, our children are much, much more vulnerable. But as an adult, your stage and attainment in your life in anything is down to partly your opportunities, partly the great people that were around you to teach you, and partly your attitude towards that and how willing you were to learn. With our children, it is even more simple. It is about what life has given them so far. As simple as that. They are a product of what life has given them so far. We can go down in the future the roads of saying, maybe some brains, of course we have evidence that some brains just learn things more easily than others. But I want us to say we are so far from thinking about that at the moment, because we are labeling children as not being able. So if you are a parent watching this, I am going to ask you to say, would you be happy at any point for any teacher at any stage of your child's life to say your child does not have the ability to learn to do this? Because that is what the reality is. And I want everyone who is, listening to me now to really, really think about this, because this changed me beyond anything I have ever done. And I looked, and what I want to kind of summarize with this is, when you are thinking in mathematics in early years about high ability children, I want you to first of all say, these children have the appearance of high attaining children. Now, they're only going to be high attaining, of course, when you compare them with what you think is good. So therefore, your knowledge of what a child can do that says they're great at maths is what really needs input and, nourishing. Because a lot of the work that I do, people come away and go, that is not what I was looking for. I was looking for a child who could count. I was looking for a child who could read numbers. And when we look at what being a mathematician is all about, they go, oh my goodness, I've got loads of kids who can do that. And you're like, well, you will have, because children are naturally mathematical because they're human beings. But when you see your children not able to do something yet, I want you to think that's their stage in attainment. And I want you to ask, what have they not had in their lives yet that the children who can do this have had? And of course, there's conversations we can have again on another call or another session like this about high attaining children. Very often, as we know, are not actually high attaining in terms of skills. They're high attaining in terms of, it's a bit like press a button and they can say and do things. Not the fault of the child, and not the fault of the adult either, because adults will do what they think is best. And we all work better the more tools we've got. And again, that's my job, is to give you better tools. So the point of, my very impassioned plea is, please choose to eradicate the word ability in terms of a label from your language, at least for a significant period of time. Can we bring it in the future in a different way? Because there's nothing wrong with the word ability, it's the way it's being used. So ability means you have a limit in how much you can learn. And I honestly know, I don't even know my own ability in anything. I am not a good tennis player yet, because I have not been given the opportunity, or as an adult made the opportunity to learn. I have not been around the right people to learn from, and I have not had the right attitude to my learning yet. But I can honestly tell you, I have no idea what my ability as a tennis player is, because I just haven't been down that road yet. It would be so wrong for someone to watch me playing tennis and go, she's low ability. Believe me, I'm low attaining. Very low attaining at the moment. But you imagine, what I want to leave you with is, when a child is low attaining, say why. When a child is low ability, people don't ask why, they just accept it. They've even been looking for them. Who are my low ability mathematicians? Who are my high ability mathematicians? No. Why do they appear to be high attaining? What is it I'm spotting that's making me think they're high attaining? Are they really? And low attaining, are they really? And also, why? What have they not had yet? So if this has made sense to you, go back to the thing that I'm sure I'm the same as you. I do not walk around in my life labeling people, adults, as low and high ability. I go on the way they choose to behave. This is really important. So I hope this has made sense to you all. I'd be really interested in your thoughts below. I am incredibly passionate about this and have spent a huge amount of time thinking about it, putting it into action. But I would love to know what your thoughts and feelings are about it too. So if you're catching up, if you're on now, I've got 19 on. That is brilliant. And I say, hope it's all made sense. Thought I'll come on and do it live, and I just have to trust myself to to talk sense when I talk to you on the group. All right, have a lovely evening or rest of the day wherever you are, and I will see you again soon.